Dallas Cowboys news coming at you. Sean Lee, the longtime NFL and Cowboys stud linebacker, has officially announced his retirement just days before the NFL draft. Now, as a reminder, Sean Lee was already a free agent. He clearly took his time trying to make a decision as to what he was going to do. He'd been a fantastic player for the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately for Sean Lee, injuries had limited his impact over the season. Again, the retirement does not necessarily surprise the Cowboys. I think they were pretty aware that Lee was at least considering it, and they knew linebacker was going to be a need. Now, his 2020 production is not necessarily indicative of a fantastic player, but he wasn't a full-time guy. Again, the injuries had sort of piled up for him. But the thing that Sean Lee did so well was his intelligence and his leadership. And you've seen, I'm sure, other Cowboys players come out and just thank the general, as they call him, for his leadership, for his knowledge. There's some clips out there of Sean Lee, like, telling coaches why the play they called does not work because, simply put, Lee was smarter than them. So it was a bit of an expected move here for Sean Lee and for the Dallas Cowboys. This was going to happen at some point. The injuries had mounted up too much, and I think it was time for Sean Lee to call it a career. So give me your immediate thoughts, and once you heard this news, of Sean Lee retiring from the Dallas Cowboys. One word reaction, I think expected makes some sense. Time could be one of them as well. Some of you might think overdue, but he's a fantastic linebacker in the NFL. The injuries did limit him, but his presence will be missed, potentially. We'll break down that more in depth here on the Cowboys sideline. First, a look at where things sit on the Cowboys depth chart. Now, we had not included Sean Lee on this depth chart for months now, simply put, because he was a free agent, right? The rather expected, if not, assumed loss of Sean Lee does help leave a defense that also lost Joe Thomas at linebacker thin right now. There's Jalen Smith, there's Leighton Vander Esch, Keanu Neal, then young guys and kind of a safety hybrid there for Neal and Dron Curse, they brought from the Minnesota Vikings. Luke Gifford, Francis Bernard, those are depth players. Those are not guys that are expected to play a big role, which leaves Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, Keanu Neal in a possible hybrid role. That is a thin unit, and a unit that has not fared well over the past couple years. And I do think Lee's presence will be missed, both in the locker room, in terms of leadership, in terms of film study. But there is a way in which the Cowboys can keep that in some capacity. How about Sean Lee as a coach? You longtime Cowboys Report subscribers know how I feel about Sean Lee. I wouldn't have hated it if they'd brought him in as the DC. I would have preferred Dan Quinn, but that's how highly I think of Sean Lee. He is one of the most intelligent players in the NFL. He is a fantastic leader on top of that. Everything that Sean Lee did so well in the NFL translates quite well to a leadership coaching role. The defense was better when he was able to help, when he was able to contribute, all those things. Now, there was a report from Patrick Walker, the CBS sports writer, that the Cowboys are open to finding a spot on their coaching staff. Now, on one hand, I wonder if that's what Sean Lee wants right now. Maybe he wants to take some time off. I think he could go be a high school coach as well, kind of follow that John Kitna style role. But even though this Cowboys coaching staff looks full, quote unquote, it's not really. Look, Dan Quinn is the defensive coordinator. They brought in Joe Witt, also formerly of the Falcons, as the passing game coordinator. Scott McClurley is the linebackers coach. George Edwards is a defensive assistant. But unlike, say, college, where you are kind of limited to just how many coaches you can have on staff, it's the NFL. If the Cowboys want to give Sean Lee a assistant to the coach role, it's that simple. It's very, very easy to create a position on a staff for somebody that you want. Now, there aren't any real linebackers coaching jobs out there, so it's not like a team's going to make a bigger offer in terms of role immediately for Sean Lee. If he wants to come in and be some type of assistant to the defensive coordinator or assistant linebackers coach, kind of like how Leon Lett has been an assistant defensive line coach, that makes a lot of sense to me for the Dallas Cowboys. My answer to this question is very simple. I want Sean Lee as a coach. That is something I want them to do. So get your votes in for me. What do you guys think here? Do you want to hire Sean Lee? Type in 1 for yes or type in 2 for no. I say yes, but get your votes in right now in the comments section. Now, I did want to come back to the actual on-the-field impact here. My top needs do not change for the Cowboys. It is still cornerback 1, safety 2, linebacker 3, defensive end 4, and edge rusher 5. Now, you can argue the exact ordering if you want, but the retirement of Sean Lee does not vault linebacker up by any stretch of the imagination. We already knew that this team was in the market to get some linebacker help, where there currently is just Jalen Smith, there is just Leighton Vander Esch, and Keanu Neal, who have played actual, legitimate snaps at more of a linebacker role. I'm kind of cheating here with Keanu Neal as it relates to him being a linebacker. He's kind of a strong safety linebacker hybrid for this team. At least I think that's what he's going to end up being. Jerron Kearse is not someone I trust, and I think the same is true for Luke Gifford, Francis Bernard. So at minimum, you want some depth if you are the Dallas Cowboys, and I fully expect that the Cowboys will look, probably not in round 1, but day 2, definitely day 3 as well. I think the Cowboys are going to be targeting some linebacker help in this year's draft. And we'll know who the Cowboys pick during the NFL draft, which will be live on the Chat Sports YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed, go do it right now. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Link right there, bottom of your screen. It'll be in the comments and in the description as well, because we're going to be live for every single pick, breaking down every pick from the Cowboys to Washington. Every single player will be broken down. Will I get stumped? Maybe, maybe not. I guess we'll end up seeing what happens on that one. But if you haven't already, go subscribe to the Chat Sports YouTube channel at youtube.com/chatsportstv. Now, Sean Lee, who, again, I want to mention the injuries here again, because the injuries just deprived him of what should have been a borderline Hall of Fame career. Had he stayed healthy for his NFL career and not had lost some steps to injuries and gotten hurt and missed time and all that stuff, I really do think that Sean Lee would have been at least not as good, but in the same conversation as what we've had around Luke Kuechly. Both of them are highly instinctive, highly intelligent players. So Sean Lee, he was a fantastic player. The stats back that up. He wasn't quite as good as Luke Kuechly, but he was a damn good football player. So I love Sean Lee. He is always going to be one of my favorite NFL players. Expected retirement, but I do think it was time as well for him to call it a career. The NFL draft is almost here, and we will break down every single pick and all the news and rumors and buzz around it on Chat Sports. So if you have not already subscribed, hit that big red button and join us. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. We will break down every single pick during this year's 2021 NFL Draft.